Hey friends, welcome back. About a month ago or so, maybe a little bit more, maybe even 2 months ago, I had shared that some things might be changing in our lives. I didn't really get into too much detail. I just told you that doors were opening and that we felt like maybe this new direction was what was right for our family, and asked you all to pray. And so we've made a decision, and we have decided not to pursue the business opportunity that we were presented with. So I'm going to get into a little bit of what it was and the reason why we felt like this wasn't the best thing for our family right now. So you all know probably that my daughter, who's almost 18, works at a little country store in our area. It's about 6.5 miles from our house, which in the country is pretty close. It's owned by Mennonites. It's a bulk food store with a deli where they sell pre-made, or not pre-made, made to order subs, paninis, salads, wraps. They sell ice cream. They sell milkshakes, they sell coffees, all kinds of things. And yeah, so she's been working there for, I think, 2 years and really enjoys it. And so last October, the owner's wife, or co-owner of the business, texted me and she asked if I was making hardtack for Christmas, because I've done that and sold it to them that they can sell. And she said, by the way, have you ever thought about owning a store? So Elizabeth had told us before that point that they were considering selling, that they just were ready to move on, and that they were going to move to actually the area where my husband and I grew up. And Elizabeth said, like, oh, they keep joking that you and Daddy should buy it. Because all last summer, my husband was off work. He had broken his hip, and we didn't know what had happened until it was basically healed. And so they thought maybe it would be a good thing for us. And so I texted her back and I just said, like, yeah, Elizabeth had mentioned that maybe you would consider selling, but I have no idea how we could ever do something like that and how you would finance something like that. We've never even had a mortgage. We don't do debt, really. We do owe a little bit on our van now, which that's been about a year, so we have 2 more years until it'll be paid off. But I just was like, this is crazy. There's no way that we could do this. We are a big family who has never earned enough money to not be considered below the poverty level by the government. How in the world, why would they think of us? So whenever she had texted me, we were at a gathering where Aaron and his band were playing for a function, and we had a bunch of people that we knew around us, and we just said, Dan and I said to them, like, hey, we got this text and they're offering to sell us the store, and I don't even know, but I just want you to pray about it, like maybe this is something and I don't even know how. And so one of the men who was with us came to us then and said, I would really like to do more than pray. If you decide to do this, I would like to be your venture capitalist. And even at that point, we didn't really know what that meant. We kind of just let it go. And then work got a little bit slow for my husband. And I said, every time things slow down, we always say, well, like, what if we bought the store? What if we did this? But we've never really looked into it. I was like, do you think that we should just find out the information, decide yes or no, just so that we don't wonder down the road, should we have done this? So my husband went to the owner and he gave him a price. So the store is like attached to a 2-story house, and the house is actually 2 units that have been kind of converted into one. So the upstairs is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. The downstairs is a 1-bedroom, 1.5-bathroom apartment, but it had previously been a bar with an apartment above it, attached to a store. It's kind of confusing. But anyway, they were wanting to sell the entire property. It's on a little bit less than an acre. All of the inventory, all of the equipment, and the business reputation. And it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money for us. I don't really think it was a bad deal necessarily. So I went back to our friend, and he was talking about owning a grocery store and stuff, and I was like, well, maybe not this one, because, and I handed him the slip of paper that had this huge number on it. It was less than $500,000, but not a lot less. Somewhere between $250,000 and $500,000 for an established business. It's not really that bad, but it's a lot of money to somebody who's never been outside of the poverty level. So he didn't feel like it was necessarily off the table at that point, but we had some hesitations. And so we'd kind of gone back and forth trying to decide if this is really what we wanted, what God wanted for us. And we decided to move ahead with making an offer. And this whole time, of course, we're planning what it would be like for our family if we do this. And we were saying right now they're closed Sundays and Mondays. We would keep that same schedule. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I would work with the kids. And then Thursdays and Fridays, Dan would work with a teen or something. Saturdays, we could work all as a family. And so it was appealing in the fact that we could spend time together, but there were some downsides. We were really going into this thinking this makes sense practically, but we couldn't ever get, as our friend from church says, perfect peace. We just couldn't get perfect peace. We got a lot of like, yes, this makes sense kind of a thing, but not perfect peace. And we tried to like convince ourselves that, yeah, it would be good. It would be fine. There's a lot of upsides. And there is. And our friend was very gracious in wanting to fund this, and knowing that if we did it, we probably wouldn't even be able to make a payment to him for like 10 years, because the store is basically making no money till you account for all of the expenses and depreciation and stuff. I mean, our kids could work for a little bit cheaper than they can employ people from the community, and so we could save a little bit of money there. We could save a little bit here or there through all the things. They gave us 5 years of financial records, just how much they spent on each individual thing, and it was just going to be a lot, and it was going to be years upon years of our lives revolving around the store. And so we went to Indiana, we talked to friends about it, we prayed about it so much. Really, we're trying to move forward, and we're having a hard time bringing our venture capitalists' idea of what the property is worth to meet somewhere with what the owners feel like the property is worth. And we really deeply care about the owners of this business. It's not just a business transaction to us, for sure. And so we just kept thinking, everything in our lives, everything that we have done, the jobs that we have taken, is because we wanted flexibility. We wanted to be able to pick up and take our kids and do things. And if somebody got sick, my husband could take off work without any kind of repercussions. We can do our vacations whenever it suits us, not worrying about who else is taking vacation at the same time. All of these things that really are important to us and wouldn't work with a business that demands so much of our time. And our kids are growing up, and we kind of kept thinking about, the kids are growing up. We kept thinking about the kids growing up as in they're getting older, we can handle this as a family, but we really just don't want these last 10 years with us having kids at home to be wrapped up in a business. Maybe that's something for when they're gone, something that we can do, as we get older. And we realized that a lot of the reasons that we wanted to do this were out of fear of what would happen if my husband gets hurt again, fear of what would happen if something happened to me. And we don't have all the answers to that. Some of it is pretty straightforward. We have life insurance, but I think we need to increase it in case something happens to me, in case something happens to him. But yeah, we don't know what exactly the future holds, whether he will always be able to do this job. But if he can't, I will go to work. We will figure it out. Taking on the store was no guarantee that we would make any more money than we are now. In fact, I think it would be really difficult to make more money than we are right now with the way things have gone. Small businesses like that just aren't doing as well because of Instacart and Walmart Plus and things like that. You don't have to shop locally anymore because you can just have groceries and things delivered to your house anytime. So even though food is kind of a recession-proof commodity, not as in it doesn't increase in price, but that people will always need it. They don't always need what we would have to offer. So, so we decided not to do that. And the biggest takeaway from this for me, and maybe for my husband too, but I don't want to speak for him, is that the life that I really, 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 really want is the one I've already got. And that's a pretty good feeling to know that all the things that we've worked toward and the lifestyle that we've built and the family culture that we have created are all things that we really, really want. So yeah, we're not going to be changing professions. We're not going to be investing in a business, at least at this point. But I figured I would give you guys an update, let you know what was going on, and let you know that we're just going to be here kind of doing the same old. But there is something that is exciting kind of coming up, and that is, before all of this happened, we had been planning to try to spend the month of August on the road. So that means we probably won't be doing a garden this year. We need to either buy a pop-up camper that we can haul behind our van, or a small motorhome or something, and we don't really have the money for that yet, but we're praying about it. And Dan's going to be working extra hard, and I am going to be saving money like my life depends on it, as much as is possible, with 7 growing children still at home. But that's our exciting thing for the summer, what we're looking forward to, and I just wanted to give you guys an update. So thanks so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.